Hi guys! Today I prepared two hats for some doll projects I want to do, but that will have to wait a few days, and maybe even longer than that. So I have some time to make, or to try and make, a bot from trash. I loved making my cyborgs so much, and I did my very first eeny meeny bird bot already, but that doesn't count. It was more a trial run. But today I made my very first real bot, a spider bot, who is all decommissioned and worn out, covered in rust and mosses. I collected these trashes at the thrift store. I asked them for all their trash and I could take a look at it. And here is what I found. Not sure what all the pieces are, but that's just the fun of it maybe. But I also bought some toys from them. And I remembered Bill making stuff saying these snake toys are pretty handy thingies. And this sieve is so smelly, yucky. Even after I put everything through the dishwasher already, it still left a smell. And I'm already trying to get some inspiration. For those of you who follow me for a while now, know that I never have a plan with my figurines. And there is nothing new with bot building for me. The design evolves along the way. But as soon as I remembered I had these chopsticks I got from my son, he got them all the way from Japan, I knew I had to make a spider bot. And I cut them up to form the decks. I just got started. I'm not gonna explain my every move like some kid dashers do, which by the way I like very much, but that's just not me. I forget a lot along the way anyway, so this is it. You get some explaining and some not. But I had to make the body from this liquid wash detergent thingy. It had just the right amount of holes I needed for the legs. Is that called karma or something? But it needed something else, and I was fiddling with some materials to find the right look. Oh, and there was one thing I knew I wanted to use, and those were these glass pebbles I lent from my sister. I wanted to give my spider her eyes, and I wanted them to light up, so these see-through ones were perfect for that, I thought. And I refilled my pepper mill, so this one from the store was empty now and had a very nice shape I really wanted to use. I often use a baking sheet when I craft. It's useful for so many things. So I started gluing things together, sanding all the surfaces so glue can stick. Yep, also sanding away these cute cats. Aww. Okay, drilling in the bamboo is hell. Or my drill is dull, one or the other. In the end, I will surrender and try to use just glue and baking soda. Yeah, I know, wire through everything, but I just could not drill anymore. So, going through my spare beads, finding some treasures to use for the joint or a body. I finally decided to use this half of a Christmas ball to use as the top. And I drilled some holes for the eyes. I wanted them to pop out of the body. I could have. Oh, apparently I made all the legs already and trying to sand them somewhat smoother. I already said I glued everything with super glue and baking soda, but I already noticed this wasn't going to hold for long, and I had to think of a solution. I don't like this. The legs are way too big. So I cut the upper parts off and shortened all of them. I glued all the eyes in with UV resin. Yeah, I liked. I cut a strip off a plastic vinegar bottle to get a bit bigger body and glued that also with UV resin. But before I glue the top on, I need to know if the lights fit in there. Yeah, I like. And I guess I needed them to glue in also. I also did this with the resin. And I knew by now the wire can take the heat, so easy peasy. I sending a rose charm? I was gonna put a cross on there, like a cross spider, or what do you call them? Yeah, that's better. I got some cardstock in pieces to glue on like plates, like she constantly needed mending and repairs, and of course to hide all my faults. But I forgot to glue the top part on and wanted to do that. Just in time, I remembered I wanted the eyes colored. Phew. I put some eculina in the resin and spread it on the eyes. Careful not to touch the lights. And it's really time. With my homemade modeling paste I make from white glue and baking soda, I smoothed out some transitions here and there, where I was very sloppy with gluing things together and stuff. And I found a solution for the sturdiness of the legs. I secured them with a lot of strips I made from a charger cord, a very old one with a prehistoric connector. I don't even know the name anymore, it's so old. But the cord was flat, so I thought I could try it. And I think it worked. You just watch when the primer goes on. I also put some old round cords on my spider to give it some flair and maybe some purpose. I glued the cross on. I glued some fabric cord around the eyes. It was the only thing I could find that was small enough to fit there. The rest of my wires were way too thick. I glued on 2 knobs I had left over from my Phoenix base ashtray I inherited from my grandparents way back. And I think I'm done building. Let's see after the priming if it's enough. Oh, this is so cool. But as I suspected, the primer did not cover all the body from the lights. But that's okay. There's gonna be more painting, so maybe it's gonna be okay. So I gave it some more black acrylic paint to cover the most worst parts. And with some baking powder added with the paint, I again smoothed out the bits that still weren't covered enough. At the last minute, I decided she needed a gun or some sort of a weapon. Because she maybe is old and all worn out, she still functions, so she needs some protection. And I think I have enough parts left to make another gun. Let's see. I like. Gave my spider some purple. This was once her color, but it will be almost gone by the time I'm finished with her. I also put some metal paint on her, like where the paint chipped off and where the parts were originally metal. And the next step was to give her a ton of rust. I made this with acrylic paint and baking soda. The baking soda reacts with paint and this gives a somewhat textured rust effect. I glued on her weapon with hot glue. And of course, this also needed a lot of rust. She looks quite weathered, don't you think? But it needed some greens, some moss or algae or something. The color of the rust dries too dark in my opinion. I always underestimated how dark it dries. So I added some more brighter orange color here and there. And I put some real reindeer moss on there. I chopped up in tiny little pieces. And finally I gave everything a brown wash with watered down acrylic paint. Maybe an oil wash works better, but I don't have oil paints and this does the job also, I think. And I think she's all done. And yeah, I'm very happy with my little spider bot. Everything I used I already had laying around the house. Yeah, as trash or as a gift. The chopsticks. And maybe she isn't built correctly or to function or logic or whatever. But I like the look of her with her sleek legs and big eyes facing the sky. And you know what's coming. I really would love to know what you think of my almost first real bot build. Please leave your thoughts down below. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this second channel of mine and maybe hop over to my first one to see if you like that one also. The YouTube algorithm would like that very much also. And I hope to see you next time.